Okay, hi! I'm Cherry and you've stumbled upon my channel, and today I'm going to be sharing with you 22 5-star predictions for 2022. I have my reading bullet journal here and I've listed down the 22 books that I'm going to be predicting, and the format in my reading journal is title, author, and then rating, so when I read them, I will be able to see and compare which ones I actually did rate 5 stars at the end of the year. This video for organization will be divided into 4 categories. The first category is general fiction, otherwise known as books I don't know which category to put, so I put it there. There are actually just 2 books on there. And then the next one is young adult, and then the third is sapphic, and the fourth and last one is horror and thriller. Since there are 22 books, I'm not going to go into too much detail for each summary. You can look them up on Goodreads. But for this video, I'm probably just going to explain quickly why I think they will be 5-star reads, and just like one sentence summary maybe, because it is going to take us ages. Also, I'm not going to hold up the books that I actually do have because I am a lazy piece of shit. So yes, photos, covers will be placed here as always. Anyway, let us just get on to the books because there are 22 books to talk about. Let's start with the first category with 2 books. The first book is Normal People by Sally Rooney. I actually do not know much about Sally Rooney's books. All I know is that so many people love them and that they tend to be emotional and very hard-hitting and very thought-provoking, so I'm excited to pick up Normal People. It is the one that I have a physical copy of as well, so hopefully I'll be able to annotate it, and if it makes me cry, then that is an additional star automatically. Basically, it's about how opposites attract and self-love and self-worth, I think. At least that's what I gathered according to people who've talked about it online, on BookTube, on BookTwitter, on Bookstagram. So I'm very excited to pick up my first Sally Rooney book soon. The second and last book in this category is My Dark Vanessa by Kate Elizabeth Russell. I ordered a physical copy of this. It has not arrived yet. It is taking ages. But this is hard-hitting and probably triggering for some. I enjoyed Lolita a whole lot, and this one has a similar storyline in a sense that it tackles grooming by a teacher to a student. That is what I know about this book, but so many people, despite its themes, have raved about its writing style, about the development, and how the book tackles such a sensitive issue. So I am very excited to pick this up, and hopefully my fucking copy will arrive soon because I really want to read it and I really want to annotate it. Now let us move on to young adult, and there are 3 books here. The first book is Loveless by Alice Oseman. This book is very popular in the queer community because it is one of the very few books that discuss asexuality. As someone struggling with her sexuality, I feel like I will also be able to relate to this book a lot. So many of my book Twitter friends have recommended this, and I really want to read it. I was supposed to read it last year, but I never got the chance, and this year I am very determined to read it because I feel like this will also be a very thought-provoking read, if not really relatable, to be quite honest. And I might cry. I don't know, I might cry. The next book I have on this list is Starfish by Akemi Dawn Bowman, and this one apparently tackles depression, emotional abuse, anxiety, and so many of my friends and some of the booktubers I watch really related to this book and gave it really high ratings. So if it's not a 5-star, it's definitely going to be a 4-star. Fingers crossed on that. I really want to read this book this year, and because of the themes, there's a common theme with all these books. It's usually mental health. But yeah, I've seen so many people rave about this too, and according to Goodreads, it has a very high average rating, so I feel like I will also love it. The next book we have is Lovely War by Julie Berry. I feel like I've talked about this book so much on this channel, but I am excited to pick this up. So excited. I need an opportunity. This one is a love story set in World War II, and Aphrodite, the Greek goddess Aphrodite, tells the story. And I think that is such an intriguing concept, heard so many good things about this too, and that concept alone made this book an immediate addition to my TBR. So I feel like I will love it. I feel like I will read it in the first half of this year, like I said in my previous video. Now we move on to sapphic books. This category has 7 books. The first book is Of Trust and Heart by Charlotte Ann Hamilton. If you haven't heard about Charlotte Ann Hamilton, I think she was a debut author in 2021, and 2 of her books are on my TBR, but I am most excited to read her second one, which also was released last year. I think she released 2 books last year. I'm more excited about Of Trust and Heart for some reason. I don't know. But Of Trust and Heart is historical fiction and about this girl who at 24 is almost doomed to become a spinster. But then she goes to this hidden speakeasy and becomes very entranced with a female singer there. Like I said, I'm trying to get into more historical fiction. And my favorite type of historical fiction stories are those that depict forbidden sapphic romances. So I'm very excited to read this because I will also read Between the Waves, Beneath the Waves. So I will update you guys if it's any good. But the cover is just so stunning. And that is why I really want a physical copy to display on my shelf. The next book is a book that is also on my 2022 physical TBR, and that is Malice by Heather Walter. This one is a sapphic Sleeping Beauty retelling, and that is enough to entice me, to be quite honest. Any sapphic retelling of fairy tales will grab my attention immediately, and I trust my sapphic friends when they say that this is one of the best books they've read last year, and that is why I am very interested to read it. The next book, I also have a physical copy. This was an immediate buy when I saw it at the bookstore, and that is Payback's a Witch by Lana Harper. Lana Harper also goes by Lana Popovich, and she wrote Blood Countess, which is one of my favorite books but also one of my most disappointing books. It's a very complicated relationship, but Payback's a Witch is about sapphic witches. I'm so excited because one of my favorite things is sapphic witches. And this book just sounds extremely fun, and I love Lana Popovich's writing style, so I'm going to give her another chance, and I feel like this one might be a new favorite. The next book is Before We Were Blue by E.J. Schwartz. Erika from I Always Read This, and she gave me a shout out in the vlog where she read this book and she gave it 5 stars. This one is basically about eating disorders. It's young adult, I think, and I'm very excited to read more eating disorder fiction this year, so I am so glad that authors are coming out with more stories about it. Every year my goal is to release an eating disorder book recommendations video, so hopefully this one will make it to this year's list or next year's list. The next book is Darling by Kay Ancrum, and this one is kind of a dark, twisted Peter Pan retelling. It is also queer. It is apparently very queer, and Mari from Mac and Books gave it 5 stars. I am now even more excited to pick it up because looking at the summary and looking at the reviews, it does feel like a 5-star read to me, and I am very curious as to how it will play out, considering it is going to be a contemporary retelling as far as I know. The next book may be a hit or miss. It will either be probably a 2-star read or a 5-star read, and I'm going to hope to God that it's going to be a 5-star read, and that is Tristic's Venom by Penelope Douglas. It will be my first Penelope Douglas book, and the reason I am most inclined to pick this up among all the other Penelope Douglas books out there is because 1, it's sapphic. Hello. 2, it's a bully romance. I'm not really a fan of bully romance, but I do love angst, and this seems so angsty. And 3, Penelope Douglas is known for her very dark stories and very triggering kind of themes in books. All of that combined can make for a potential new favorite, to be quite honest. So I'm very excited to read Tristic's Venom, even though it's thick as hell, apparently. Next book is sapphic, but it is also non-fiction. Kind of, as far as I know, it's also non-fiction. That is In the Dream House by Carmen Maria Machado. In this book, the author articulates her experience in an abusive same-sex relationship, and that is not something that is commonly talked about. Like, there isn't much discussion about abuse in same-sex relationships, and I'm very interested to see what she has to say, because apparently her writing style is absolutely gorgeous, and the book has really high ratings as well, so it's very promising, and I really want to read more nonfiction. I think it's like a fiction and nonfiction merged together, kind of. At least that's what I got from the summary and the reviews, so I am very eager to pick this up this year. Now we are moving on to horror and thriller, and I am combining these two because some horror books are also categorized as thrillers, and some thrillers are miscategorized as horror. So I'm just going to combine them together so there is no confusion. Like, Anyway, the first book, which I should have read last year, to be honest, but I didn't get the chance, and it was one of my most anticipated releases of 2020, and that is The Patient by Jasper Dewitt. Merce from Harpies in the Trees gave this book 5 stars. I trust her judgment. She's one of my favorite horror booktubers. If she says it's good, then it probably is. I mean, it's already on my TBR, but it was bumped up a little bit on that list because of her review. It's a pretty short book also. It is about a psychiatrist who worked in a dreary mental hospital. One of my favorite horror settings are haunted asylums. Okay, honestly, it doesn't even need to be haunted. Like, if you're going to set a thriller in an asylum, consider me sold. Consider me sold. That premise sold me to read this book. And I've had a copy on my Kindle for so long because I was excited to read it, but I haven't picked it up yet, and this is the year. This is the year. I feel like this is going to feel like a post from No Sleep because the format is apparently online posts made by the psychiatrist. I think that's interesting. I love it when creepy stories, scary stories are given a realistic feel to it, so excited for this. Super excited for this. The next book I have is Before the Devil Breaks You by Libba Bray. It is the 3rd installment in the Diviners series, and the Diviners, after reading Lair of Dreams, the 2nd book, last year, I am convinced that the Diviners is one of my favorite book series of all time. It is creepy, it is compelling, it is beautifully written. Even though the books are relatively thick, which usually intimidates me, I find that I don't want the stories to end. So I am totally fine with the books being super thick. Basically, The Diviners is a young adult horror set in 1920s New York about a group of diviners, or people with supernatural abilities. And I love it because the cast of characters are, some of them are so annoying and so flawed, but you can't help but love them. The first book was 5 stars, the second book was 4.5, so I hope this third book is going to be 5 stars. I am just so excited. This one I'm going to buy a physical copy for sure because I annotated the first 2 and I enjoyed my time and I want to collect the books. I want to complete them. So obviously a 5-star prediction. The next book is another recommendation by Merce from Harpies in the Trees, and that is The Carrow Hunt by Darcy Coates. Merce loves Darcy Coates, and I've been meaning to read her works for so long because she is the queen of haunted house horror. Most of her books, most if not all of her books, are set in a haunted house. And each one has like a different story, and The Carrow Hunt is the one that intrigued me the most. I have most of her books on my Kindle, to be honest, but The Carrow Hunt is the book that I am most intrigued to read. So basically, we follow this tour guide, and she's a tour guide for this very notorious haunted house, and 7 people are going to stay there for an entire week to research the house's phenomena. I love that. I love it when strangers of different backgrounds are forced together in a small space. That makes for like an interesting story because I love different personalities clashing, and it sounds amazing. It sounds amazing, and it will be my first Darcy Coates book if ever, and I'm very excited for that. The next book is another chunky one. I don't have a physical copy, but I do have a copy on my Kindle. I want a physical copy of thick books, to be honest, so I know how much I'm progressing and I can see the progress physically. But this next book is No One Gets Out Alive by Adam Neville. This one is a favorite by one of my other favorite horror booktubers, Jordaline Reads. She gave this book 5 stars, and apparently it's one of the creepiest books, one of the scariest books she's ever read. And if you can manage to scare me, then I will give you 5 stars. No fucking lie. I'm not even sure what it's about. I feel like it's a haunted house story. And that is all I need to know. We need more haunted house stories. We need more actually scary haunted house stories. Like, sometimes we read haunted house stories and it's just like super mediocre. I don't know. I probably just don't get scared easily, but I am very excited to pick up No One Gets Out Alive and see what I think of it myself. The next is Pretty Girls by Karen Slaughter, which is also in my 2022 TBR. Karen Slaughter is known for writing very dark and vexing themes in her books. And Pretty Girls is one of her most popular and apparently one of her most brutal works, and I am very excited to see how it all plays out. I've talked about this quite a bit on my channel, I think, but I've never read it yet because it is thick and it intimidates me. But I'm going to be reading it in February for sure for a readathon, so I will update you guys. I know Erika from My Always read The Good... What is the title of that? Yes, she read The Good Daughter, gave it 5 stars, and I trust her judgment, so if she gave Karen Slaughter a 5-star rating, then I might actually give Karen Slaughter also a 5-star rating, and I'm so excited to pick up Pretty Girls in February. The next book is a popular release from last year, and thriller fans lost their shit because apparently it has one of the most unexpected plot twists, and that is Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney. So excited to pick this up. I really want to get more into thrillers. I've been reading a lot of horror, but I want more thrillers. And I feel like this one is just going to hit the spot, you know? So I'm very excited to pick up Rock, Paper, Scissors this year as well. Apparently it's really short too, like compared to other thrillers. And I'm excited to see how much Alice Feeney managed to write in that page frame, and if it is proof that quality is better than quantity when it comes to page count. The next one is, oh my god, I'm so excited for the next one, to be honest. I wanted to read this in December, to be honest, but never got around to it because of Clear Your Shit, and that is Temper by Lane Fargo. After reading They Never Learn by the same author, I gave They Never Learn 5 stars. Absolutely amazing. And one of my book Twitter friends read Temper and was like, it was great. It was great. The plot twist, they didn't see it coming. So I am so excited because I love They Never Learn. I love Lane Fargo's writing style, and her books tend to be really feminist. Excited to read Temper, to be quite honest. I don't know when I'm going to read this, but I always get the urge to drop everything and read it, so maybe I will actually do that. The next book is a very chunky one that I want a physical copy of. It is another book recommended to me by a friend who loves fantasy, who loves vampires. I talk about books with him a lot, and it's Empire of the Vampire by J. Kristoff. This friend loves J. Kristoff and his writing and his stories, and while I didn't like The Poppy War, which she also recommended, I feel like I will really enjoy Empire of the Vampire because it is categorized as horror, and it has vampires, and it has like these sorting houses for vampires, and that just sounds amazing, to be honest. So hopefully this one will work for me. The Poppy War didn't work for me, but hopefully Empire of the Vampire will work for me, because the moment I found out that it was going to be a thing, I immediately added it to my TBR. The last 2 books are quite similar in a way, so I put them together kind of at the last portion of the list. And the first one is Baby Teeth by Zoe Stage. I think that's how you pronounce it. Zoe Stage. This one is very fucked up, apparently. And Jordaline from Jordaline Reads, one of my all-time favorite horror booktubers, like I said, really enjoyed this book. It is one of her favorites, and she has recommended this in so many of her videos, but I haven't read it yet. I've been meaning to for so long, but I haven't yet. And the story is about this little girl who is a daddy's girl. She wants to be with her dad all the time, and the only person getting in the way of that is her mom. and I think she tries to kill the mom. This is very twisted, and I am so excited to read it, to be quite honest. Creepy children, I hate children, but creepy children, I will read and watch all the things about creepy children. And the last book is not really, as I mentioned in my last video, it's not really considered like a thriller, but it's more of a psychological drama. It's marketed as a psychological thriller, but apparently it's more of a psychological drama, and that is The Push by Ashley Audrain. This one, almost the same concept. It's about a mom who just gave birth, can't find the connection she wants to have with her firstborn daughter, and then she has a son, and she finds the connection there. Apparently it's so unsettling as well, even though it is psychological drama, and I'm in the mood for drama. I feel like The Push is like the lighter version of Baby Teeth, if you can say that, but I'm excited to read both of those books, and that is why I lumped them together. Anyway, I rambled on for too long. What are your 5-star predictions? Do you have the same predictions as I do? Do you plan on making a 5-star predictions videos? I am going to be anticipating all of the 5-star predictions videos. I'm actually trying to catch up on my Bookshare Friends videos, and I love watching 5-star predictions, and I'm going to be waiting. I'm going to be waiting for your ratings on your 5-star predictions. Anyway, that is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in my next one. Goodbye! Every time I see you in my feet, I don't feel anything anymore. We used to be best friends. I remember you said that you can be yourself when I'm around. Guess it didn't really matter. All the feelings we had were not worth much to you at all. Well, I moved on, so keep your 2 cents sympathy subtraction.